Activities of the National Museum of Agriculture in Szreniawa during the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus pandemic. Our educational activities we divided into 4 sections: temporary exhibitions, the schedule of weekend educational activities at the museum during the COVID-19, online education, and competition for children and young people, Plant Health in Your Hands. From June to November, museum opened 5 temporary exhibitions, and only one was planned before the pandemic, and it was STRENG VERBOTEN, a village in Greater Poland in 1939-1945. Frequent washing extends life, which is how hygiene was previously maintained. This exhibition fit great in the ubiquitous hygiene instructions and recommendations. Many props and selected exhibits from the museum's collections from the end of 19th and 20th centuries were presented. Our aim was to show the evolution and progress in the approach to careful hygiene, and that's why this exhibition was parted: hygiene in the countryside, in the manor house, and the biggest one talks about hygiene in the PRL, the official name of the Polish state in the years 1952-1989. I think that this part was the most important for our viewers because a lot of them simply remember those times. And for example, a washing machine Frania. Today this is very simple machine, but in that time this machine signified luxury and progress. The last beekeepers of Europe I met. This exhibition was outdoor exhibition and placed close to our beehives. When you look on the first picture, you don't see it, but on the left side, in front of those pictures, are our beehives. And this exhibition is pretty modest. There are no panels with text. Most of those pictures are simple, black and white. One of them is only in color, portrait of the lady that you see in the middle. These photographs are artistic work of very famous photographer in Poland, Professor Krzysztof Hejke, who decided to show beekeeping traditions, honey hunters traditions. Greater Poland Uprising and Order. Another exhibition that we showed in our museum was created thanks to the cooperation with the State Archives in Poznań and the Museum of the History of the City of Poznań, in connection with the inclusion of the Greater Poland Uprising documents on the national list of the UNESCO Memory of the World Program. This exhibition included many photocopies and photos taken by Kazimierz Greger. He was known as the photographer of the Greater Poland Uprising. Our museum supplemented this exhibition by borrowed replicas of the uniforms of soldiers of the People's Guard, infantry, cavalry, machine guns and aviation. We also showed a lot of decorations and diplomas from Greater Poland Uprising in 1918-1919 that we had in our collection. STRENG VERBOTEN, a village in Greater Poland in 1939-1945. And this is the only one exhibition that was planned before the pandemic, and it was intended to coincide with the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. This exhibition was devoted to the history of the countryside in Greater Poland during the German occupation, and this exhibition is very important for our museum because this is the first one in our institution that is available in digital form, published in the public domain, and because of this accessible to everyone. This exhibition wasn't available for children. Another offer for visitors was the exhibition entitled Regional Wedding Costumes from the collection of the National Museum of Agriculture in Szreniawa. It accompanied the weekend educational activities, which will be discussed later in this presentation. This exhibition was in a way the result of a series of outdoor events, country weddings, carried out at our museum from 2003 to 2012. We presented the costumes of brides and grooms, for example, from Kraków-Łowicz, Kurpie weddings. The costumes on display were also accompanied by a film documenting country weddings that took place in Szreniawa during the 10 years of the series. What is very important about these events is the fact that they showed real wedding ceremonies that took place in Szreniawa. The schedule of weekend educational activities at the museum during the COVID-19. From June to October, we organized 21 events, and this schedule was the basis for the museum's educational activities during the pandemic. It was a big undertaking that was many times changed and improved, adapted to the frequently changing rules and restrictions related to the pandemic. The events were held every weekend, having into account safety of visitors and employees of the museum. Many times we had to change and modify activities, demonstrations and workshops. Most of weekends were accompanied by numerous folk craftsmen and artists. On the pictures, we showed 3 examples of educational weekends: Sheep in the Lead Role, Past Future Harvest in Szreniawa, and Weekend with Folklore. In the beginning of September, we organized event Sheep in the Lead Role, and our viewers had the opportunity to participate in a sharing show, a sea exhibition that presented wool processing equipment, and also read many educational panels about the processing of sheep milk and the production of traditional sheep cheese. The most important was, of course, our sheep Iza. It wasn't a stressful situation for her because she is used to it and she loves to be in the center of attention, so she was very calm during this show. It was very important especially for kids, because this kind of show they are able only to see on television or read in the books. Another example of our educational weekend was Past Future Harvest in Szreniawa. Past Future was always a huge event in Szreniawa. That's why so many people come to visit us. As always, August in Poland is time of harvest, and because of this, during this show, we decided to present methods of harvesting cereals from cycle to combine. As always, the weekend was accompanied by a screening of films from the museum archives. Also, we presented 2 small exhibitions, Ripple's Mill and Ripple's Tools. Viewers had the opportunity to admire our cold-blooded horses during their work. The last example of educational weekend is Weekend with Folklore. Museum in Szreniawa presents both material and non-material heritage of various regions of Poland. That's why we decided to invite folk dance group of the Poznań University of Technology, Poligrodzianie. During this weekend, visitors could also visit the exhibition of wedding costumes for young couples and see the film Country Weddings. Our online education includes website, Facebook, Instagram, and channel on YouTube. Being a member of AIMA is very important for us to share AIMA's activities with a wider audience. And this tab is for those who are interested in agricultural news from all over the world. We decided to translate some of articles from newsletter to our Polish viewers. Riddles from the Museum was an educational offer on our Facebook site for adults. How it looked like. In the morning there were puzzles to be solved, and in the afternoon we were giving answers to them. These riddles were also supplemented by popular science notes, and because of this they became a great source of interesting information. Also because of these riddles, we start to have dialogue between us, employees, and our viewers. Another example of museum online education is tab Magic Village. And this tab shows variety and richness of Polish culture. In this tab, many of our employees write very interesting articles about customs and rituals of the former Polish countryside, also about saints, patrons, and what is great about this tab, many times we can feel like we were reading about fairy tales, as title says, a magic reality, but in fact this text contains true information, because even though people in previous time didn't have knowledge from books, they were astute observers. Animals in the museum. This tab is for those who love animals in our institution. We decided to make this tab for children, but as far as we know, because we get feedback from our site on Facebook, many adults read these stories, and viewer can read the story of the selected animal, watch a movie, and also consult the developed educational cards. And these stories are half true and half like fairy tale. But that was intention, and for those who look for very serious articles, shouldn't read these stories for sure. Because the year 2020 has been declared the International Year of Plant Health by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the International Plant Protection Convention, our museum decided to organize competition for children and young people titled Plant Health in Your Hands. More than 400 completed forms were submitted from children and young people who received awards for correct answers. We organized this competition because it's our responsibility to take part in this kind of action, because museum is a place that is famous for its fields, and very dear to us is cultivation of old plant varieties, and also we have few exhibitions devoted to plants. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, there is my email below, and please stay safe.